All right, what up, yo? So we're about to do the Sunday breakdown or just a weekly breakdown for the week of so starting on the 11th to 16th. So let's just start off with, let me just see if any of these broke out to the accumulation. I gotta move this. Okay, so NZD CAD going on the weekly, what is going on? So we're still within this giant range on here. So when we're within this giant range like this, it's like price is just going to be choppy the whole entire time. So you just mark it out here, mark it this range. Red folder, it is not available this week. We don't trade that. Same thing with AUD USD, this giant lower high range on here. Within here, price just gets all choppy. It's not fun to trade those. So USD JPY. So, okay, now what we're going to do is I'm just going to change all the flags. Okay. All right. So weekly on USD JPY. So now it is not at an area of interest. It doesn't look like. Yeah, it's not an area of interest. So we're not interested in it this week. GJ, this is just so choppy, but we're also not at an area of interest. Euro NZD, same thing, not at an area of interest. Euro PLN. So Euro PLN, basically the weekly target would be right here, and we're already there at weekly TP. Not interested. Euro PLN. So we're bullish. We're not at a weekly area of interest. How far back is this? 2018? Yeah, not at a weekly interested. Not a USD CAD. Everything is bearish. But the daily, oh my God, what is going on here? The daily needs to shift to bearish, so um I don't see it happening this week, to be honest. Um yeah, I just don't see it happening this week, but we can still leave it in the needs the daily shift as it just needs a daily shift. Um Use the HKD weekly, pull back deep, not an area of interest. I don't like it. Oh, wait, hold on. We are bullish and we did break here, so we could look for a weekly wick pullback to then go there for pro trend trade, right? Because we are bullish. Wait, nah, wait, bullish, bearish, bullish when we broke above there. Okay, and the daily is bullish. So the daily needs a proper daily pullback first. Euro GBP on the weekly just never pulled back to a weekly area of interest. We didn't react of a weekly interest. USD NOK. Yeah. Okay. I, what the heck? This is disgusting. So we are technically at a low. I don't like that low candle. I don't like all this wicks on here. I'm just gonna leave the pair until next week. Um, leave the pair until next week. Yeah, because weekly wick pullback. If it's a weekly wick pullback, we would be targeting the next weekly structure, which is right here. So it already hit take profit because yeah, if it's a weekly wick pullback, you want to get out of the next resistance point. You don't want to ride it to the weekly structure. That's if you have a proper daily pullback. So proper daily pullback, ride it all the way to the weekly structure point. Proper, if it's just a wick pullback, you need to get out at the next weekly reject resistance. So this is already at take profit. So not interested in this week. GA, basically not at a weekly area of interest. And yeah, we're not reacting off a weekly area of interest, so we can't do a wick pullback or anything. NZDJP or NZD we are currently bullish. We had a weekly bias against us. So the fact that we had a weekly bias against us and we're not at a weekly area of interest, not interested until uh, wick. Okay. All right. Cool. So not interested in this one. CHFJPY. Weekly bias closed against us, so we're not interested in pro trend trades. CADJPY, just what is this? Weekly bias, the weekly take profit is basically right here. Just don't like how messy the weekly looks, and the daily is bearish. So, um, but the daily has a proper pullback, right? The daily needs a shift. That's the thing. The daily's not going to shift before it gets there. So, so basically, you can see just an accumulation of confluences against us. So messy weekly with all these wicks on here. The daily would need to shift to bullish in order for it to happen because currently the daily is okay. Daily is okay. Yeah, daily's bearish after that point on there. So not interested. Use the SEK basically at take profit. You see, hold on. Weekly, yeah, weekly take profits right there. Weekly bias bullish, but yeah, we can't do that. So not interested. Euro HKD had a pullback weekly. We're not, how far back is this? 2019. Not interested. All the way in 2019. I mean, okay, it is kind of far back, but hear me out. So we're here, weekly take profit. We're at the weekly area of interest. What is the daily saying? The daily would need to shift. Okay, so the daily needs to shift. It's probably not going to happen this week, first of all, right? Because we would need a break above there. And second of all, it would be too close to TP. So yeah, so many times I've seen it. If it's this close, it's probably just going to go directly there. So probably won't get an entry on this, to be honest, but we can still move it to needs the daily shift. Silver, weekly, not at an area of interest, not interested. Use the czar, pull back, and we're bullish. Area of interest, nice. What's the daily saying? The daily would need to shift to bullish. Um, so I don't know how well that's gonna go. So if the daily needs to shift to bullish, it's probably not gonna happen this week, but we can still put it in the needs daily shift to structure. Use the MXN on the weekly. We are bearish, nice weekly candle on here, nice and strong. The daily, we would just want to see like a daily proper pullback because it is a pro trend trade. Say the daily's nicer now because it like broke out of all this accumulation on here. See all these wicks, everything's gone out of there. So now we're in clean traffic. Whoops. Okay, USD CZK. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, we are counter trend. We're basically there. We had strong weekly bias in our direction. The weekly would need to shift. So the week, yeah, weekly needs to shift. Um, our daily needs to shift. But if the daily shifts to bullish, it's pretty much going to be at take profit on there. So that's why I wanted to break the low here and then go, but they'll probably go straight to take profit. Euro AUD on the weekly, we're not an area of interest. AUD USD on the weekly, we are bullish, but we have this bearish bias, previous weekly bias against us, so we're not interested. Key. I always do that. I don't know why. Weekly bias. Um, Yeah, because it's bullish, we would be looking here. I don't think I'd want to counter trend trade it up to that level. Yeah, because if the daily shifts, it's pretty much going to be right at take profit. Weekly already wicked into take profit. Okay. Not interested in that. USD SGD, not interested in that because we're at indecision on mid. Not interested because it's too choppy. Doesn't have three touches, not interested. We already did your CAD, right? Daily too messy. Um, Weekly bias. So we want to go bullish. Weekly take profit would be right here. And the daily is bullish for that actually. So we could look for the daily because this is the counter trend, we just need the daily to have a proper 4 hour pullback and then we can go. Yeah, well, not the daily, like the 4 hour. Yeah, if we're going to be targeting counter trends, right? Because the reason why we're targeting counter trends is because weekly is bullish. We got a massive rejection candle here saying that we want to go bullish, right? The daily is saying that we're bullish, and the 4 hour just needs to have like a proper pullback. So the 4 hour could literally just pull back to here, get the rejection confirmation, and we could take it back up to here. So this is USD CAD. This needs the proper 4 hour pullback. Here, not at a weekly area of interest. USD DKK, we've pulled back. We're not really at an area of interest. As yeah, we're not a weekly area of interest. We can't go counter trend because we're basically right here. HUF pulled back to a weekly area of interest. Yep. Right. So we're at the weekly area of interest. The daily is bearish, right? So the daily's having a proper pullback. The 4 hour would need to shift to bearish. So like this pro trend. Yeah, okay. Let me just unmark all these so I know. I think we already did all that. Just so I know these trades are still running on here, so I'm not going to mess with that. Euro GBP, add the daily interest, just needs the daily shift to structure, right? So this one was good. GU, um, huh, what is this? Yeah, we'd be looking for counter trends, but the daily, I don't think would be in trend. Oh, okay, the daily is bearish. The daily's having, yeah, that's what I want. I want the daily to have a proper breakout of here, and then we can take this to the counter trends. Because right now it is bullish, but what's the 4 hour? 4 hours having a proper pullback with the rejection. Honestly, we could look for the daily breakout and then take it to a counter trend, but it did break out on here, which means that it is shifted bearish. The 4 hours had a nice pullback. So I would say just needs it has a 4 hour rejection confirmation. So this actually just needs the accumulation break retest, to be honest. Euro HKD on the weekly pulled back to the area of interest. Oh, I'm getting a headache. Whoa. Yeah, needs the daily to shift to bullish. Use the ZAR. Yeah, needs the daily to shift to bullish. Use the CZK. Needs the daily to shift to bullish, but it's pretty much going to be right at take profit, so I don't know. USD HKD needs proper daily pullback. Needs a proper daily pullback on USD MXN. CADJPY at the area of interest. Just needs a 4 hour shift. Okay, we already did these. Weekly needs, yeah, yeah. So we had the proper pullback because we're here. The 4 hour would need to shift. Needs 4 hour to shift to bearish. Cool. AUD CAD pulled back into the area of interest. Dailies like that. 4 hour just needs a shift. Visibility. This counter trend needs pullback. So we'll see where, well, yeah, there's no area of interest for it to pull back to, but we need a proper pullback within here to go here. And GU needs that. And these ones are still running. Yeah, so that's basically it.